So get on that ball like you like it. And really spread things out. The bigger the ball, the better for this. So get up on the very top of that ball and start to do a little hula. Depending on the firmness of the ball, one I have is quite squishy, but there are some that have a thicker plastic. You get a more of a massage the thicker, the firmer the ball is. But you do want to be on enough height so that you can do this hula and not aggravate your knees. And if you haven't already, switch directions. Big hula hips. And again, your legs are wide enough apart so you can control this. I think I'm going to scooch back a little bit more so you can see my feet. And then you're going to come to neutral and you're going to tuck your tail under and then stick your tail out behind. And you're just going to pelvic tilt, tuck and untuck. And then feeling secure about that, again, you've got your feet wide, your feet down flat, you're tucking and untucking, your knees are comfortable because you have a tall enough ball. If you don't have a ball, this can be done in a chair. It's like a seated cat-cow. To make it more interesting, if you've got good enough balance, secure enough footing here, you can take your arms out and inhale and exhale. So as I inhale, I stick my butt out and my chest out. And then as I exhale, I pull my tummy and tuck my tail under. Then keep going. King of the world, hug a ball. Back and forth. So you're tucking and untucking your tail and you're opening your chest one way and then rounding your back, going the other. A couple more times here. So again, this can be done on a chair or a stool. If all you have is a little ball, you could sit on a little ball on top of a chair. That works too. And then open and close. One more time, open wide, stay open, and release your hands down to the ball. Take your right arm high to the sky. Tip over into a side stretch. And breathe. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Palm is flat to the ground like you're dribbling a basketball. You're lengthening out through your pinky fingers, sweeping back through the thumb. Pushing into the bottom hand to turn your chest open towards the sky a little bit more. And breathe. And let your head hang off. Take that top hand, wipe a table out in front of you, smack the table out in front of you, drag that table towards you, really shrug that top shoulder blade onto your back, still with your head hanging. Continue to wipe the table all the way off the side of your hip, and then reach down diagonal through your fingertips, letting your head hang heavy. Bottom shoulder shrugs down away from your ear. You're holding onto the ball for stability. And you can wiggle your jaw, work up a good yawn. Let your head hang heavy. And then tuck and untuck your chin. Nod your head even as it hangs off to the side. Nodding yes. This is a lovely neck stretch. Yes, this is a lovely neck stretch. Slack jaw, yawn like breaths. And then let your head continue to hang heavy. Come to neutral, chin to chest, slowly roll around to sit up. Shrug your shoulders back, sit up tall. Inhale, open sesame. Exhale, release your arms down. Left arm, reach for the sky, up and over into a side stretch. Top palm is flat, lengthening out through your fingertips, letting your head hang heavy. Bottom shoulder shrugging away from your ear. So you're holding onto the ball, maybe letting your elbow rest on it, depending on how much of a side stretch you get into. And just being here for a few breaths. And then let's turn this into a neck stretch by taking that top hand, wipe the table out in front of you, smack the table, drag the table towards you as you shrug that top shoulder onto the back, all the while your head is hanging. Continue to wipe that table off the side of your hip. As you reach down diagonal through your fingertips, head hangs heavy. And begin to nod your head. Tuck and untuck your chin. Good slack jaw, yaw-like breaths. And then finally, chin rolls around to your chest as you slowly sit back up. Palms forward, shoulders shrug up, back and down, arms out to the sides. Inhale, open wide. Exhale, round. Interlace your fingers, press your knuckles forward. Lean into that space between your shoulder blades. And you could shift your hips and shift your shoulders side to side. Think about pulling your belly in, pulling your heart in, and spreading between the shoulder blades. Kind of like you're rubbing your spine up against a tree if you were a bear. You could add a little hip action here too. Go side to side. Swish. And then come to neutral. Press your palms out, up, and overhead. Sit tall. Squeeze your elbows in towards one another as you press your thumbs up towards the sky. A great big chesty breath here. And then as you exhale, drop your shoulders down away from your ears. Let your elbows bend behind your head. Great big breath. Shoulders down away from your ears, head on level and steady. Nice deep chesty breaths. And then with an inhale, lift up and bring your hands out in front. Notice the interlace of your fingers, the weave of your fingers. You're going to reweave your fingers, putting the other index finger on top. It should feel funky. Press your palms out, up and overhead. Shoulders down away from your ears, head on level and straight as you breathe. And then bending your elbows, bring your hands behind your head. Nice deep breaths. Another nice deep inhale here. And exhale, release. All right, legs are wide. You're still sitting top of your ball. Securely fastened here, really spread things out. Take your legs a little bit wider still. If you have slippery legs, you put your pants down or up, whatever works for you. Have a good grip here for your hands, a good purchase. You don't want to be slipping off your thighs. You can have your fingers in, you can have your fingers out, you can be on knuckles, I don't care, as long as your hands are not sliding. I want you to remain control even as you begin to lean forward. And then drop your right shoulder in, turn to look over your left. So dropping that right shoulder in, wrap your left shoulder around your back as you twist your torso. And shrug shoulders onto your back, come to neutral, and let's switch sides. Drop that left shoulder in, turn to look over your right. And again, inhale to center. Exhale to twist. Going back to that first side, dropping that right shoulder blade in, wrapping your left shoulder blade around your back. Turning to look over the top shoulder, your left shoulder. And once again, inhale up. And exhale, twist the other way. And then come back to center. Palms, shoulder shrug back and down. Turn your palms forward as you inhale. Take your arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, bring your hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Shrug your shoulders down away from your ears. Press your knuckles down into the ball. Let your chest lift up. You can stay here upright, or if it works for you to bow forward, you can dive forward and let gravity help pull those arms away from your hips. And then hands come to your hips, hands come onto your lap, and you're going to press into your hands to shoulder shrug your way up to sit. Good. Again, still sitting towards the top edge of the ball. Securely fasten your feet to the ground. Inhale, take your arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, release. You're going to take that right arm across your chest. Use your left hand to pull that elbow across a little bit further. Shoulders down away from your ears. Nice, long, elegant neck. Wiggle your jaw. Drop your shoulders away from your ears, even yawn. Stay here. Or if it works for you, to cross your arms a little bit further, tangle them up a little bit more, you can go into eagle arms. If you're doing eagle arms, your arms are crossed, they're not going to go anywhere. So then you start to fight yourself, like you're trying to press your right elbow to the right and the left elbow to the left, and they're not going to go anywhere because they're crossed. If your arms are not crossed and you're just holding on to the elbow, well, then you're going to shove your elbow to the right and pull with your left hand to the left. It doesn't go anywhere, but you can drop your shoulders away from your ears and get a more intense shoulder stretch. So either option works, as long as you work it and breathe. And then release. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Take that left arm across. You can use that right hand on the elbow, pull it across a little bit further. Stay here if that works for you, or cross that bottom arm underneath, double cross your arms. And if you do have your elbows crossed, then you can activate. Press your right elbow to the right, your left elbow to the left, and get a little bit more spread in those shoulders, a little bit more stretch in the upper body. And then release. All right, hands on your lap once again, shoulders back and down, chest lifted. You're gonna lead the way with your heart, coming forward. Leave your hands on your knees. Let your shoulders climb up onto your back and let your head hang. So lifting your shoulders off the ground, pulling your shoulder blades down your back, tucking your shoulder blades into your back waistband, head hanging heavy. You can start to pivot your head like you're unscrewing a light bulb to dump your brains out onto the ground. Stay here if this works for you. If you want a little bit more intensity, if you can reach the ground with your hands, you put your hands down, dive a little deeper into this forward fold. Continue to let your head hang. Continue to draw shoulder blades away from your ears so the sides and the back of your neck are long and wrinkle-free. And then come to neutral. Put one hand on your lap, put both hands on your lap, slowly press into your hands and come all the way up. Still with your head hanging, chin to chest. Shrug your shoulders down your back still with chin to chest. You can take your fingertips to the back corners of your skull. Tuck that chin even deeper into your chest. A little bit more neck stretch here. Seated upright with chin tucked into your chest. Fingertips, the base of your skull. And then slip your fingers out of your hair. Put your head on straight. Make sure your feet are securely fastened. You have as wide a stance as you can tolerate. You're going to cross one arm, cross the other, kind of like a mummy here. Find the very tops of your shoulders, right where your backpack or your racer back bra straps go, backpack straps go. You're going to push into that meat, those trapezius muscles. As your shoulders drop down away from your ears, jut your chin forward, and then slide your head straight back out in conveyor belt to make a double chin. And if it's comfortable for you, continue to slide your head back until it falls off that conveyor belt. And then pout. Stick your bottom lip out up over your top lip. And then slowly unpout, slowly bring your head on straight. And now we'll come into a nice twist. In order to get this twist though, you really have to be at the very top of your ball. You're gonna work your feet narrow. The closer together you bring your feet, the more unstable, more wobbly this will be. So you really wanna have as broad a base of support as you can, really spread things out. This can be done on a chair as well. If you're really not steady on the ball, I recommend moving to a chair or standing near a wall. From here, your feet are about a little wider than hip width apart, and you're gonna bring your right knee up. And you're gonna flex that right foot, and you're gonna do your best to balance. And then maybe cross that ankle onto your lap. At this point, holding onto the ball will help you balance a little bit better. Shoulders back, chest lifted. Try to sit up as tall as possible. Foot is flexed flat. You're doing your best to breathe. Bottom foot is flat down on the ground. Toes are inching forward on that bottom foot. So you're not overbending that knee. Sitting up nice and tall. This might be enough of a stretch for some of you. Others, if you can keep a flat back and your balance, you have the option to lean forward by bringing your chest out and over the shin. And then slowly come all the way up. Some of you, it might work to sit cross-legged. You might even find that a little bit more stable. Cross-legged, you're more likely to squeeze your thighs together, pull in that pelvic floor, activate your abs, and be less jiggly in the midsection. Shoulders up, back, and down, sitting tall. Testing your balance. Maybe you're releasing your hands. You really want to go for the full version of this. You would take this into your eagle arms, and you've got eagle legs, and you are balancing, even though you're sitting down on a ball. Seated eagle variation. And then unwind. And we're going to go through that sequence on the other side. So start with your feet a little wider than hip width apart. I've got mine about as wide apart as my mat here, the narrow width of the mat. I'm sitting at the top of that ball. I got my feet securely fastened. And you're going to bring that left leg up. If you're holding on to the ball, it's easier to bring that left leg up, flex the foot, and maybe cross your ankle over the opposite thigh. Again, make sure that bottom foot inches forward, so it sticks out past the knee. If you were to sneak a peek down there, be able to see your big toe sticking out past the kneecap. You could admire your pedicure down there. Holding on the ball for stability, shoulders back and down, chest lifted. And try to hinge forward any amount at all. And then slowly sit up. And maybe wiggle in towards midline, crossing your legs. So you notice I toe heeled that bottom foot in towards midline. So everything is lined up, centered. And then testing your balance. The arms are a mirror image of the legs. So this would be the left arm going underneath. Mirror image the legs. Doing your best to balance. Squeezing your thighs together, pulling in that pelvic floor, activating your abs to get a little bit more stable. And then gracefully release. All right, from here, gonna come all the way up to standing. Ooh, shake out a leg or two. And then we're gonna make our way back down to the floor. This is where you might want a couch cushion, so padding underneath your knees. We're gonna do a couple lunges here, not a whole lot, but a few. A couple lunges here. And again, I'm gonna encourage you to orient yourself so that you can see the screen. I kind of dance all over the mat, hopefully giving you good angles on the poses. All right, take your right foot forward. Start in proposal pose. I'm gonna move the ball out of the way just so you can see what I'm doing. I've got a right angle at the hips, right angles at the knees. All my weight's down on the back leg. I'm in proposal pose. So start here. You can have your back toes curled under if you like. Ball comes in against your belly. So lift your belly up and try getting your bladder, you know where that spot is, right up against the ball. And then you're gonna lean into it. The leg you can't see, that would be my right leg. I'm gonna inch that foot forward. Even though this ball is supporting a lot of the weight of my torso, I don't wanna overbend this front knee. Then elbows can sit on the ball, shoulders can shrug back and down, chest is lifted. Really drive your hips forward. Back toes are curled under, so you're getting a bit of a toe stretch. You're feeling secure and confident here, and you want a little bit more upper body, chest opening. You can make fists and put your fists right there at your waistband and knee, kind of massage. Press your knuckles down into the top of your butt. Try to coax your tail to tuck under a little bit more. Maybe squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift your heart up. Open up into a little bit of a back bend. And then pressing your fists into your hips, slowly lean forward. And then use your hands against the ball to press out. We're gonna switch sides. So, proposal pose. For me, I've got my left leg forward. Back toes are curled under, so I get a bit of a toe stretch. I have a 2-for-1 action. And I'm gonna bring this ball in and wedge it into my bladder. Try to really get my belly up out of the way. And then lean forward into that lunge. And inch that front foot forward so the toe sticks out past the knee. Hands on the ball, shoulders up, back, and down. You can press into the back heel to drive your hips forward a little bit more. Once you find balance, stability, you can take your fists to your waistband and press your knuckles down into the top of your butt. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Let the ball carry your weight as you lunge lower. And then release. You're on camera. Stand up tall. And then bail out. And let's repeat. I'm going to spin around. You're going to once again take that right foot forward. So left knee down on some padding, right foot forward. You're in that proposal pose to start, and you're going to zip up your tight yoga pants, lift your belly out of the way, wedge that ball in there against your bladder, and then get down into it. So we're repeating the same lunge we just did a moment ago. Make sure you inch that front foot forward. Back toes can stay curled under, so you can still press into that back heel. Now, if you're feeling really stable, really secure, shoulders back and down, chest lifted, really drive your hips into the ball. Maybe you can straighten that back leg. If your lower back likes, you don't have to. You do have an upright torso on this. You already have a back bend going on. In fact, speaking of back bends, this is your right leg forward. You're going to take that right shoulder up, back, and down. Take that right fist in to that butt cheek, that hip pocket. Push that hip down and lift your chest up. You can push down into your left elbow against the ball and press your right fist into your hip and lift your chest up and turn to the right. You're going to look over your right shoulder. Smile, maybe look good. So pressing into that back heel, trying to keep the back leg somewhat active. If this is still working for you, you can work that left hand around, maybe to your front knee, your right knee. Get a good grip on the knee, pull the knee towards the ball, twist your torso. And then release. Bail out. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So again, padding underneath your right knee, left foot's going to come forward this time. Starting in proposal pose, you got the 90 at the knee, 90 at the hips, 90 at the knee. So it's a real staggered position. Definitely not your deepest lunge. Pull that ball in against your bladder and then get down on it. Get into a nice low lunge. You can keep that back leg active, pressing into that back leg. Helps to drive your hips forward a little bit more. Shoulders back and down, chest lifted. Make sure that front foot is inched forward so your toes stick out past your knee. And then if you're ready for takeoff, then go ahead, take off. Lift that back knee up off the pillow, off the ground. If that's a little too much on your back, or if you don't feel like working that hard this evening, we'll put the knee back down. If this is your left leg forward, this is your left hand. Your left hand goes around to that butt pocket, that top left butt cheek, and push down on that butt cheek to lift your chest up. Shrug your shoulder onto your back. Turn your chest to the left. If it works for you, you might inch that right hand around to the outside of that front knee. Pull back on the knee, push the knee into the hand. Hand pulls on the knee as you turn your torso a little bit more. This camera makes it look like I'm leaning backward over the ball. I'm not, it's just the camera angle. So I'm trying to stay upright as I twist. The camera is currently a little taller than I am right now. So we're getting a weird angle. And then release. All right, press into the ball, back up. Oh. Big toes together, knees apart. Continue to back up. You're not really going to round over into a child's pose. You're just going to draw your hips back towards your heels and go for more of a flat, neutral back than a curled, rounded forward fold. Hands are up on the top of the ball. You're just trying to lengthen your side body, maybe curl your tail under. Just take a little excess curve out of your lower back if you got any. It takes 3 or 4 breaths to breathe into that back waistband to get those muscles to unknit if they got a little crunchy. All right, find your tummy. And with your next exhalation, pull your tummy in, pull the ball towards you as you come all the way up to kneeling. Good. Then you're going to make your way up to standing. And on the way up to standing, you can remove the pillow, get that out of the way. Again, just you and a big old ball. Kind of make sure any breakable stuff or spillable cups of water, stuff like that are out of the way so you don't accidentally run over them or step on them and go sliding. All right. This is a big ball. So you're going to do your best. I'm going to do my best to get up on top of this thing and try to put both feet down on the ground at the same time. With my feet as wide apart as possible. So sit on that ball, but really kind of sit on it and then roll back a little bit so you're way up on top of the ball. So sit on it, roll back, get way up on top of the ball. Take your legs wide apart. Good. As gracefully as you possibly can, of course. Turn your right toes to the right. Spin your left knee in towards the ball. We're setting up kind of like almost a warrior one, if we were to take our arms up. But we're not quite fully squared over in that warrior one. Good. And then sitting down on the ball. Like press into one heel, press into the other, center your weight out here. Good. Now you're going to put this heel down. This would be your left heel. Put your left heel down only as much as you need to put the foot down. Okay. So you want that heel turned out as much as possible, ball height permitting. So all 10 toes kind of going in the same direction. Shoulders up, back, and down, and it's a warrior 2. This can be done on a chair. Or it can be done in midair. Your warrior 2. Shoulders back and down, chest lifted. Belly pulls in. Nice thing about the ball is the pelvic floor tends to relax a little bit, and your inner thighs tend to relax a little bit, and they actually let you drop down lower into this side lunge than normal. And you're actually able to stay here a little longer than you otherwise normally would. Let your left hand come down, flip your right palm skyward, and then reach up through that right hand. Then reverse your warrior 2 variation. Breathe into your side ribs. And then with an inhale, lift up that top hand. Come up to neutral. Same time in the arm, but right arm in the air. You're going to bend that right elbow. Give yourself a pat on the back. Reach up and over. Find that elbow. Pull the elbow behind your head a little bit further. Press your head back against your forearm. Can you relax your butt and settle back onto that ball? Can you tense up a little bit? Try to drop it. Let the ball support you. And then release. All right, maybe roll forward a little bit and then roll back a little bit and get ready to do the other side. So if you just sit on the ball, depending on how tall your ball is, you might be a little forward on the ball. So I'm gonna back my hips up all the way to the very top of the ball by getting my legs as wide apart as possible, as gracefully as possible. And then turn that left knee out. Pick up your right heel, kick your right heel away. Kind of wiggle and spread things out as best you can. And now you're going to take that back heel and set it down. Turn it in only as much as you need to put it down. I'm trying to prevent you from having toes pointing out sideways like a ballerina. Trying to work that right foot in at an angle. Both legs, back leg goes straight, front knee bent, left knee is bent. As you take your arms out and up into your warrior two. Shoulders back and down, chest lifted. Breathing. And then your right hand comes to your thigh. You can flip your left palm skyward and then bring that left arm overhead into your side stretch. Reverse warrior two. And check in with your butt. Try to relax, try to sit on the ball. And then with an inhale, straighten up. Take that top arm, bend the elbow, give yourself a pat on the back. You can adjust your feet if you like. Or just keep working that warrior two if it's working for you. Reach up over with that right hand, pull that left elbow behind your head. Press your head back against your forearm. Belly pulls in as best you can. Keep on breathing. And then release. All right. Coming out of that one. Whoa. Coming off of that one. All right, we're going to be making our way down to the ground in a few moments, but I've got one more standing pose for you. So we're going to go for our pyramid pose. I'm going to start standing at the back edge of the mat, so I've got a runway out in front of me. I'm going to let my feet be a comfortable hip width apart. I'm going to put a bend to my knees, and then I'm going to fingertip that ball out. But still try keeping your fingertips near the top of the ball. Knees are slightly bent as you flip your buns up towards the sky. So knees slightly bend, you flip your buns up towards the sky, you press into your heels as you reach out through your fingertips. Head is between your arms. The back of your neck is long. Your head is attached, it's not hanging. And find your front ribs. If you are ticklish, you're going to be really good at exhaling, pulling in those front ribs like you're getting tickled. Keeping your knees slightly bent, continue to press out through your fingertips. Draw back through your inner heels and flare your sit bones. So even here, your hand's not even touching the ground. If you're really working this, you'll get a stretch on the backs of your legs, hamstring stretch. Even with your knees unlocked, even with your sit bones reaching for the sky, reaching out through your fingertips, front ribs lifted away from the ground. As long as you do all of that and activate like you're shoving your shins wide, but they don't go anywhere. Press your shins wide and activate like you're ripping the mat between your heels without them actually going anywhere. You should feel a good stretch on the backs of your legs. All right, from here, we're going to turn this into a pyramid pose. So all that action you had on both legs, you're going to really do it strongly on one. So take this right foot forward. You make sure both feet are on the same mat. And you took a pretty big, healthy step. So you're thinking opposite diagonal corners of the mat here. And your shoulders are back, your chest is lifted. You're going to pull the front leg straight. All 10 toes marching along on railroad tracks. You're going to take this ball out in front of you. Start to hinge over. Keep stapling the back heel down. Keep pulling the front leg straight. And if it works for you, here's the trick. You're going to bend both knees for just a brief moment. Flip your buns up towards the sky and then re-straighten both legs. Continue to fingertip that ball out in front of you and work on a flat, flat back. Head is an extension of your spine. So eventually you will be gazing down at that big toe, but do not let your head fall off. With your head centered between your arms, you're gazing down at that toenail, but you are not letting your head drop. You're endeavoring to pull both legs straight, keep both sit bones perky. With both feet solidly planted on the ground, you're going to engage, like you're pressing your right heel to the right, like you're pressing your left heel to the left. And as you press your right heel to the right and your left heel to the left, can you spread your right sit bone to the right and your left sit bone to the left? Stick out your butt. And do all that and keep breathing. And then pull your tummy up and everything else up as we release that one. Oh, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So, standing towards the back edge of your mat. Take a big step between your feet. Do make sure both feet are on the same mat. There's length and width between your feet. And you're going to start to pull both legs straight. Try pressing that back heel down towards the ground, all 10 toes pointing in the same direction. And take that ball out in front of you. Start to hinge over. Finger tipping that ball away from you as long as it will go, as far away as it will go. But do keep your hands towards the top of the ball. And you're going to bend both knees for just a brief second. Flip your buns up towards the sky and then re-straighten both legs. Head neutral between your arms. And then engage. Press your left heel to the left. Press your right heel to the right without actually going anywhere with the feet. But do go somewhere with those sit bones. Right sit bone to the right, left sit bone to the left. Are both sides of your waist the same length? Is the distance from armpit to hip bone the same on both sides? And then from here, since you're already halfway there, why don't you just keep on going all the way down to the ground? Come back into that child's pose, big toes together, knees apart, hips back over your heels. With that ball underneath your fingertips, big toes together, knees apart, hips back towards your heels, ball underneath your fingertips, side body nice and long. And then you can drive that bus a little bit. Walk both hands over to one side, all the way over to one side. And then walk that ball all the way over to the other side. Try keeping your fingertips towards the top of that ball. Put staple back on your heels. About once more to each side. Notice my chest is nowhere near the ground, but my hips are pretty heavy back over my heels. And then once more to the second side, second time. And then come to neutral. All right, you're going to swing your legs out in front and go for a cross-legged seat. For the cross-legged seat, you might sit on your cushions or a couple of blocks if you got them. And cross one shin in front of the other. You do want to be stable, whatever you're sitting on, so really spread yourself out because you're going to have that ball underneath your fingertips again. Now fingertip that ball away from you as far as it goes. With your hands elevated at this height, you tend to get a much flatter back and you get a weight distribution into your lower back that's different than if you had your hands on the ground. So this pose might feel different here with fingertips on a ball than it would otherwise normally. All right, let your thigh bones be heavy. Try to lift your rib bones away from your hip bones and maybe fingertip that ball side to side. So you'll notice how this feels different in your hips and lower back with a different leg position compared to what we were just doing. Comparing that child's pose variation to the cross-legged seat as you side stretch side to side here. Just driving that bus one way, then the other. We'll go each way 2 times, and then you'll come back to center and recross, put the other leg in front. Take your time doing this, don't forget to breathe. And then you go one side, then the other. And one side, then the other, taking your time. And this is why if you only have one block beneath you, you might want to find a second block or a stack of textbooks for future use. So ideally, you want both sit bones to feel equal weight and feel secure, even when you're doing deep side stretches. All right, Some of you may have guessed what's coming up next. Still seated here, but you're going to take your legs wide. Now you got these feet in the way. Well, you don't see mine, but I do have feet. The feet can kind of be in the way, and you might end up rolling the ball over your feet, your foot. You could play around with pointing it or not, just to get a little foot massage if you were into that kind of thing. You might roll the ball over that foot a few times. Just an idea. So you're going to start with that ball centered. Everything else spread out. And you're going to fingertip that ball out in front. Nice flat back. Getting long through your torso. Feet flex. Breathing. Try stapling your thigh bones, the head of your thigh bones, where your thigh bone plugs into your pelvis, plug that part into the ground. Staple your thigh bones down to the ground, or whatever you're sitting on. And then you can play around with driving the bus. And depending on whether or not your feet are in the way, you might get the bonus foot massage. As you take it into a side stretch on one side. And taking your time rolling over that foot again. And all the way over to the other side. And keep going. We're going to go once more on each side. And then eventually you're going to come back to center. And once again, stretch long through center, flex your feet, press the brakes, flare your toes. Fingertip your ball out in front of you as far as it will go. Maybe kind of wiggle it side to side to help ease it out a little bit further. You kind of lift up that right shoulder, press out with the right hand. Lift up your left shoulder, press out with the left hand. Keep stapling your thigh bones down to the ground. Try dragging your legs back into your pelvis. They're not going to go anywhere. They're stuck to the ground. But engage like you're shortening your legs, pressing your thigh bones into your hips, and then flaring your sit bones out. And then find your tummy. Exhale, lift your tummy up first. Pull your armpits away from the ground as you crawl up to sit, bringing that ball with you. Now you're going to take the ball out to the right side. This is my new best friend. You're going to get that ball in there up against your armpit. Pull it in up against your side waist. And then lift that right arm up and over. Good. Shoulders back and down. Left arm is free. Left arm reaches up. Good. And then you're going to take this left arm diagonal across, find the ball. Pull it in towards your chest. Give it a nice hug. Try to get your shoulders to twist. Hands stuck to the top of the ball. And it's almost like you're trying to twist the ball with the palms of your hands. You're not trying to twist your torso so much as get your shoulder blades to wrap around your spine. Let that right shoulder blade wrap in, squeeze up against your spine, and let your left elbow press forward, crawl across the ball. And you can use your fingertips on the ball for traction. So shoulders are down, chest is lifted, and you try and get those shoulder blades to twist around your spine. You're pulling that ball in against your chest to stabilize yourself. You're using your hands for power, and rather than twisting your spine, trying to pull those shoulder blades. And then release. Let's do that same on the other side. That's kind of those shoulder blade stretches you really can't get any other way. I guess you could do it with a chair, but the texture of the ball and the way it kind of grips your hands gives you even more leverage without having to grab hold of it. Anyway, works for me. You're going to wedge that ball in against your left side. Drape your left arm up and over. That's where having a big ball comes in handy. I'm still pretty much upright here. I'm not even leaning over to the side. The ball is hugged in and it's helping to support me. The right arm comes up, belly pulls in, thighs stapled to the floor, feet flex flat. You're going to take that arm diagonal across. So the spine is still upright and it's barely even turned to the left at all. But we're going to work those shoulders. So use the top of the ball to hug that left shoulder onto your back. Hug the left shoulder onto your back. Crawl that right shoulder blade away from the spine and try to twist the shoulders. More so than your butt. Relax your butt. Twist your shoulders, not your spine. You might even look back towards the screen. So your chest is twisting away from the screen, but your head might be turned towards the screen, trying to keep the spine neutral. You let the rotation be the shoulder blades, the ribs, twisting around the center line of your body. And then release. All right, and now we'll take a simple side stretch because you want to. All right, so I've got the ball here and I'm going to fingertip out, 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 out. Still trying to keep my hand near the top of the ball. I'm pushing the ball out to my right. Good. Getting nice and long, and then I'm just going to let my head rest on my arm. So head is resting on the arm. Free hand comes all the way up, palm towards the sky, then palm towards the ball. And really press out through that top hand. Staple your thigh bones to the ground. And breathe. Feet are flexed. Trying to push that top hand out further than the bottom hand. And then with an inhale, lift that top hand up first. Reach down to the formerly top hand all the way down towards the ground. Come all the way up. And you might get another little neck stretch on the way up. And let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so fingertips that ball out, 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 out. So your side waist is long. As you side stretch, you're stapling your thigh bones down to the ground. That's what all that preparatory stretching was for, so that maybe you can come over into the side stretch and your right thigh bone is still stapled to the ground. Head can rest on your arm. So your head's neutral. Free hand, that would be your right hand. You're going to reach towards the sky, up and over, palm towards the ball. And just go for a side stretch with thigh bones stapled to the ground. And then with an inhale, lift up through that top hand and release. Okay. We're going to go face down like Superman to help stretch in between the shoulder blades one more time and start to kind of massage up and down the sternum, the midline of the chest. Okay. Obviously, if you've had open heart surgery, you probably don't want to do that, but up and down the sternum right here. So I'm kneeling, I'm towards the back edge of my area here. I'm going to wedge that ball in up against the sternum, and I'm going to shove off and go flying. So this one, you just drape over the ball, and you could be more towards your head or more towards your heels, and that will put a different emphasis on your back. And this is why you do not do yoga on a full stomach. Again, you want your area clear. You don't accidentally want to put your foot on something and go sliding out of control. And the more control you have over this, the wider you take your legs apart, the wider you take your hands apart, the more control you'll have over this. You can shift side to side, front to back, head to tail, round and round, and round and round. And just experiment with shifting your weight and notice what that feels like in various parts of your back. Try to let your head hang. Don't bother looking at me. You'll be missing out. Just for fun, try breathing into your back ribs. For some of us, it's become kind of common knowledge that you can get a deeper breath face down. Try to get some breath into your back ribs underneath your shoulder blades. So shifting weight around, exploring any achy spots in your back, and maybe directing your breath into those achy spots as well. All right, we're going to be winding down. So we're going to be going down to the ground. I know, going down to the ground. And you have your pillow nearby and your belt nearby. That's about all you need. It's your pillow and your belt and your big old ball. At this point, you can put your legs over the sofa, legs on a chair, if you want. If you didn't have the ideal ball position. Again, try to position yourself so that you can see me. I tend to move around. You don't always want to orient yourself as I am in relation to the screen. You just want to orient yourself so you can see the screen at all times. And now notice what I'm doing. I'm taking my heels and I'm pulling back the ball, wedging the ball into my butt. To put it nicely, wedge the ball right into your butt, up against the back of your thighs. You know that fold between the top of your thigh and your butt cheek, that gluteal fold? Try getting the ball in there. So as I hook my heel, I pull back on the ball. This is engaging my thigh a little bit, helping to fatigue the muscle a little bit, get blood flow into the muscle. So repeating this a few times, try to really work the leg that's bent, alternating bent and straight legs here. Wedging that ball into your butt cheek, your gluteal fold. Good. And then with your legs all the way up over the ball as high as they'll go, you're going to push your heels down and then drag your heels in towards you. One more time, activate those thighs, those quadriceps. Kind of pressing your heels to your sit bones, but you got this ball in the way. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. For added entertainment, you can take your hands to the outside of your knees, depending on how close you've squeezed in. Hands on the outside of the knees. Push your knees in with your hands. Push your knees out against your hands. They don't go anywhere. But keep doing all the other stuff, dragging the heels to your sit bones, working your thighs. Hands on the outside of the knees pushing into hands, hands pressing into knees. And then you can relax all of that. Now you're ready for a good hamstring stretch. So you're going to bring that right knee into your chest. You're going to hold behind the back of your right thigh. And then you're going to put your right foot on the ball, control the ball as you drag your left foot alongside the right. The right leg's going to go straight. The left leg's going to go straight. And you can scissor, kick and curl a couple times. And then maybe settle in, flexing both feet for a nice hamstring stretch. And then soften and bring it back in. We're going to switch sides. Heels on the ball, hold behind the back of your left thigh, and get ready to kick it out. Bend and extend, kick and curl. And then finally settle in for the stretch. Flexing both feet, both legs straight, shoulders relaxed. Notice how much of your back is on the ground. Just those few moments with your belly on the ball, kind of rolling around, breathing into your back ribs. How much more of your back body is on the ground than normal? Also, the orientation of your hips helps that as well. There's quite a fair amount of my back touching the ground that doesn't usually, unless I'm prepped, I've stretched. All right, then go ahead and release. And bring both legs in. Drag it in, once again, up against your sit bones, all the way in, and then put the bottoms of your feet together. So your feet are praying. Baddha Konasana. It's a good angle for you. Go. It's still wedged in. And the feet together, knees are wide. And you can drive that bus a little side to side to help stabilize yourself. Arms out. So driving that bus side to side, you get an interesting stretch of the thigh in the hip joint. And a little lower back massage. Just these other angles, the unusual angles of some of these poses. And the different way your weight settles against your bones. Really changes the sensation as opposed to just doing this upright seated or lying down flat. It's just a simple basic pose, but you just put a different angle on it, a different weight distribution, maybe some action movement that you otherwise do. And it's interesting what begins to happen across your back, waist, the back side of your butt. And then come to neutral. All right, work your legs together. One leg over top, two legs over top. And wedge that ball in there again. And then take your legs wide. And keep it wedged in, but legs nice and wide. So my thighs, if I had to look at this, I would say I've got a thigh at 230 and another one at 930. Not quite 3 and 9. All right. Out to the sides, heels dug in. I got a good grip on it. I'm going to drive that bus side to side. Just to make sure I really get my backside spread out. And then come to neutral. You can dig your heels into the ball. Make sure your legs are active. Pull that pelvic floor in, dragging the ball towards you. And then fingertips behind your head. I'm going to remove the pillow because you guessed it. From here, you're going to exhale, tuck in those front ribs. Pull your heels into your butt, squeeze the ball between your legs, and then lift your shoulders off the ground any amount at all. But you're not going to get really far. And then come back down. So your legs, your lower body is already in the crunch position. They're not going to go anywhere. From here, you're going to exhale, tuck in those front ribs, pull in that pelvic floor, peel your head and shoulders off the ground, and you're not going to get very far. But hopefully you're using your abs. And then slowly release. And again, when you are fully active, you are digging your heels into the ball, you're squeezing the ball with your thighs, you're pulling in your pelvic floor, you're tucking in your front ribs, and you're lifting your head and shoulders away from the ground. Ideally, you're able to breathe because I'm able to talk. And then go ahead, release. Oh, put your legs up top, a little bit more relaxed for just a moment, maybe jiggle them out. And then ball, leg goes wide again. Hug that ball in. And then lift the ball up and set the ball down. And lift the ball up and set the ball down. And lift the ball up and set the ball down. How about one more of those? And set the ball down. All right, and bring your legs back up top. And rock a little bit from side to side. And then come to neutral. Once again, you're going to heel that ball into your butt. Heel the ball into your butt. Bring your legs really narrow. Try getting your left leg to the center top of the ball. Left leg, center top of the ball. So you can cross that right ankle over. Flex your foot. Flex both feet. Right thigh bone or right ankle bone digging into your left thigh bone. Pressing that right knee away. You can have your arms open out to the side as you drive the bus. You rock from side to side. So we're not trying to bring that whole situation in against our chests. Nope, nope, nope.
Try to swing that right knee away from the chest as much as possible. Maybe let that right shin bone move in the plane of the rainbow of your knees arcing side to side. And then come to neutral. And we're going to switch it up, putting that right leg dead center on top of the ball. So really get that ball adhered to the back side of your leg. The left ankle crosses over, left foot is flexed. Arms out to stabilize you. And you're going to rock. Drive the bus. Steer the boat. So again, our goal is not to put the shin up against the chest. It's to kind of a 90 at the hip, a 90 at the knee, a 90 at the ankle if you're tracing that right leg. 90 hip, 90 knee, 90 ankle. And the left ankle crossed over top of that left knee, swinging out away from the chest as far as you can get it. Both feet still flexed flat. Rocking side to side, a little bit further, a little greater amplitude each and every time you rock side to side, because more stuff lets go in your hips and in your back, and maybe more abs engaged, and you've got a little bit more control as you move from side to side. And then you can come to neutral and release your legs back up over the ball. Good. And just take a moment to chill. And breathe. And notice your body temperature. You might consider having socks. You might consider getting a blanket handy. You might consider getting your belt wherever that got off to. In fact, I'm going to turn my fan off. I'm going to take some of my own advice here. Your body temperature will drop a lot. You're no longer going to be moving around. All that blood in your legs is going to flow into your torso. And your feet might get quite chilly. So be prepared. All right, I'm going to take that ball once again. Heel that ball into your butt. And then if you have the belts available, you have the option of tying your thighs together. So tying your thighs together, unfortunately, I can't help you tie your belt from here. But hopefully you know how just to tie a bathrobe belt, because that will do. So bathrobe belt, or if you know how to buckle your yoga belt, and tie your legs together. But let them be a comfortable hip width apart. Let your legs breathe, but hold your legs narrow. So your shins stay towards the top of the ball. Your legs stay fairly narrow towards the top of the ball. You're going to cinch that belt in. So then maybe your skin sticks to the top of the ball. And you can relax your legs. And your legs are nicely supported. Knees directly over your hips. Shins supported. Support underneath your ankles. A lot more support under your legs than you usually do. A lot more contact points. And that belt keeping your legs narrow, about hip width apart. You can shrug your shoulders underneath. Put on a pillow underneath your head. And settle in for the big sleep. Namaste. Let your breath come slowly in and out through your nose, creating a whispering, ocean-like sound.
And then come to neutral. You get to wiggle your fingers and toes, wiggle your jaw, wiggle your nose, stretching, yawning, stretching, moving, making your way out of the bondage, setting the belt aside. Picking a side, any side, eventually rolling over onto your side.